IVM.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Positively Unlimited podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking about labels. When I was recording the previous episode on empty words, it struck me that I hadn't yet done an episode on labels. And I was wondering why. Because I know I have done an episode called Drop the Judgment. I think that's episode number 4. I've also done an episode titled You versus You, episode 64. I've done an episode that says I am who I say I am, which is about staying true to who you are, right? But I realized that I hadn't approached this particular topic from the angle of how we describe ourselves. So recently I was doing a workshop in my accountant's office, and I'm sitting there looking at these group of accountants, and I'm asking them, if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would you say? I am a ... person. And it's very interesting when you try this exercise because you realize what adjectives you use. Like if you ask me who am I, my usual sentence that it just comes out literally as if it's reflex is, I'm a diabetically optimistic, happy-go-lucky person. That's how I describe myself. Now, I've labeled myself as optimistic. May not be a bad thing to do, but it comes with its own burdens. Which means that if there is a moment when I don't agree with what is happening, if there is a moment when I'm seeming to be cynical or pessimistic, I'm immediately called out on it. And I'm immediately labeled as, oh, why are you being so cynical? Aren't you the one who's supposed to hold on to faith? So here's the thing. Yes, I am optimistic. It's a quality I have. It's not a label on me. And I may be optimistic most of the times, but I'm also allowed and capable of feeling the emotions of cynicism and pessimism. Duality. As a human being, I am allowed to feel and I am supposed to feel both spectrums of emotions. So think about what labels you are placing on yourselves. It's a simple exercise. Think about it and just write the statement. I am a ... person. Ask yourself, what are the words you use to describe yourself? And you do this couple of times. Don't do it once and leave it, because every time that you write, you'll come up with different adjectives. Like another adjective that I use for myself is problem solver. Or I say solution oriented. Or I say I'm the person in charge of damage control. This is how I describe myself. And these are the labels that I am then role-playing into, right? So think about how you describe yourself and how that is affecting or ruling or influencing the choices that you make in your everyday life. If you are sitting with the label of good daughter, do you find it hard to express something that you don't agree with to your mom or your dad? If you are the obedient child, then do you struggle with communicating in different relationships, especially with elders? If you've been labeled as stubborn, then are you experiencing that sense of feeling trapped and not wanting to listen to anyone constantly? The moment you identify your labels, you can also identify triggers that hit you. So for example, the moment you identify your labels, you can also then identify the triggers that are getting hit. Now, what do I mean by this? Somebody who has been called stubborn for a long time, maybe even most of their childhood, will be someone who will react not so nicely to the words have to do or must do. It makes them feel trapped. They may not do very well when they hear the words, you are not listening to me, or you need to listen to me, or you need to do as I say. Those triggers get hit. So think about what labels have other people placed on you, or what labels have you placed on yourself? It's a good thing to use adjectives to describe ourselves. It gives us a sense of identity and it gives us a sense of understanding ourselves. However, these words can evolve. As life changes, we change. I may have been something 10 years ago. I may not be that person anymore today. And hence, my adjectives must change. Firstly. The second thing to understand, and this is something again that I do in my Who Am I Choosing to Be workshop. We all have certain desires, certain goals, a vision for life. But in order to succeed and live that vision, we need to be a certain type of person. We have to pull out certain types of qualities. And hence, who am I choosing to be? Who do I need to be to succeed and to achieve my goals? Now, when you answer this question, you will realize that you describe yourself using certain adjectives. These are adjectives, they are not labels. Don't make a descriptive word your definition. There's a difference. It's one thing to describe myself as something, and it's one thing to define myself as somebody. So think about this. If you are choosing to define yourself in a certain way, for instance, when I say I'm diabetically optimistic, well, I own that definition. Today, I love that definition. And yes, I counter or I battle that hurdle of sometimes experiencing cynicism and pessimism, sometimes having to battle with a space of low faith and then working through it. But the label of diabetically optimistic today is a tool and my space of strength which helps me overcome that hurdle. So think about how the labels you have placed on yourself or how the labels that other people have placed on you are affecting your choices and your life. Simple exercise to do for this week. I am a ... person. And the next one is, I am choosing to be a ... person. When you do the I am choosing to be, think about evolving. Think about your goals. Think about who you need to become in order to achieve those goals. So on that note, I'm signing off. All previous episodes are available on the IVM Podcast app and the website. And if you wish to connect with me, I'm on Instagram. My handle is Positivity Angel. So until next week, have a strong and powerful week.
This is the amazing story of something awesome. Once Chuck decided to start a podcast, and so he did. The end. Okay, that was a crappy story. But I've got some really cool stories over at my new show, The Origin of Things. On this podcast, I look at the stories of how brands came into being and sometimes evolved out of quite unexpected circumstances. And to make it really fun, I reveal the name of the brand and sometimes a category only at the very end. The show is 5 to 7 minutes per episode and perfect for trivia junkies and brand nerds, especially those with short attention spans. New episodes out every Wednesday on IVM Podcast app or website or any podcast app or site that you happen to prefer. End of story, they lived happily ever after.
How many times have you motivated yourself to improve your sleep or lose weight or be more productive? How many times have you failed? Hi, my name is Ashton Doctor. Tune into my show, The Habit Coach Podcast, where we focus on creating small, tiny habits to improve your life instead of those big, impossible tasks. So make listening to me a habit every Monday, Wednesday and Friday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or on your favorite podcasting app.